Today I will be talking about the epidemic of human trafficking. There have been various causes identified for human trafficking existing. They could include lack of employment, poverty, economic imbalances among the different countries or the regions in which human trafficking is happening, the decline of border control, gender and ethnic discriminations, and political instability and conflict. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem that has been happening for various years and is happening today. But little do people know how big this problem is. Trafficking can affect the country, the communities, the victim itself, and the families of the victims too. Human trafficking has actually been around for a couple of thousands of years and is happening worldwide. Humans have been seen as the main subjects of harm, as well as in various ways. They can be physically harmed, sexually harmed, even emotionally harmed. We can see human trafficking happening all the way back to slave trade that happened with African Americans. Slave trade happened from Africa all the way to Portugal and included African Americans being forced into slavery. Countries such as Spain, North America, France, and Sweden were all a part of all this slave trade. Because of the slave trade happening, there was an agreement put in called the White Slave Traffic. This meant that girls or women were not able to also be put into forms of prostitution. During the meeting of the League of Nations after World War I, there was an agreement put in that children and victims of trafficking were put to be protected regardless of their race. This meeting tried to help and downgrade trafficking, working all over the countries. By 2002, a non-profit organization called the Polaris Project started to fight against human trafficking. This project actually tried to focus on setting up awareness of human trafficking happening here and how big of an epidemic it is. The project actually helped train law enforcement on how to deal with trafficking awareness. As years pass by, we can see more issues of human trafficking happening around the world. In 2008, immigrants that were captured illegally that were being trafficked into Thailand by traffickers. There were 57 migrants that were being suffocated to death while being transported in a seafood container from different countries. They had no air, so as you could see, human trafficking happens, but it happens in the poor conditions as well. Many of these traffickers don't actually really care about the victims as long as they're getting their job done. They don't care about the harm that comes along the way. And if they do get harmed, the traffickers are doing the harm themselves to the victims. A lot of the cases that we see today are traffickers trying to force prostitution among young women and girls, and these prostitutes are being traveled abroad to different countries where they're needed, where they're being sold for money, and the traffickers can profit from it. Lastly, in 2011, President Obama announced that January would be Human Trafficking Awareness Month. With this awareness month, we can try to give awareness to the general public so they can see that human trafficking is a big problem and we can try to decrease it. Even though we have tried to decrease this epidemic today, human trafficking is still happening around the world. It's happening to women, men, children as well. There's different forms of human trafficking, just as sex slaves, child labor, child sex, forced labor, and slavery. Many of the victims of trafficking could feel trapped, and many of them are against their will because of this. Many reasons that people fall into human trafficking are because of the better false promises they have. Many people falling into human trafficking are promised better lives, better opportunities, more money, and because a lot of the people that come from poor economic areas don't have good jobs, don't have good lives, thinking they could come to another place for that, they fall into it. Little do they know they're falling into prostitution, sex trafficking, forced labor. A lot of sexual trade can happen if the trafficker tries to build a relationship with a young girl or a woman, promising they can come to a better place, be famous, things that young girls or women hope to have in their lives, but know they can't get it where they're living, so they fall into these areas. Trafficking in the US is big through prostitution. There's a lot of prostitution that comes in and out of here. Little do we know. We know about drugs, we know about crimes, but trafficking can happen in our own countries. There can be your friends can be trafficking, and you might not even know. So I think it's important to know these, to be aware of how human trafficking can happen in your own backyard. I also think it's important to be aware of organizations that are helping with human trafficking. Like I said, the Polaris Project is a big organization here in the United States tapping with victims of human trafficking. They actually have a hotline set up if anybody is aware of human trafficking or knows someone who is falling into human trafficking. They have a hotline you could reach. It could be anonymous and anybody could come help. They also have set awareness to fight stricter federal laws, trying to pass laws through government that can help with more human trafficking decreasement here in the United States. As well as that, I think it's one of the things I think is important with human trafficking is being aware. I think awareness of human trafficking is the most important way we can try to decrease human trafficking here in our own communities. A lot of people don't know how much human trafficking has happened. I didn't know how much human trafficking happened. In beginning this course, I had no idea how often it happens, the way it happens, how people are recruited. I think it's important now that I feel that I have learned that. I think it's important for me myself to spread that awareness. Just like I mentioned, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Day. We can try to set up more people aware of the month, try to make them aware of the facts why human trafficking happens